My name is Alice Hughes. I'm an associate professor and I lead the landscape ecology group for Xishuangbanna Tropical Botanic Garden, which is part of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Within the ATBC, I'm a first year counsellor, but I also chair the Asia Pacific section of the ATBC, and I'm largely responsible for planning out the capacity building activities of the ATBC. So, across the global tropics, there are massive threats to biodiversity, and in order to develop effective management plans for conservation and develop appropriate priorities, we need more researchers. But typically, these are the parts of the world where people have the least access to training opportunities, and they need that training and those skills in order to do the research that's needed to develop those priorities. So the ATBC tries to fill in that gap by making sure that our meetings always have a complete program of other capacity building activities, from mentoring sessions to soft skills, things that teach students how to write grants, how to write CVs, how to present, all of the skills that are essential for them to be effective and confident researchers. In addition to that, we often run extended workshops which target key skills they often don't have access to. Personally, I normally run one on spatial ecology, but we also normally have them on things like R, statistics, and even specialist ones on things like photography or drones, or a whole gamut of other skills that they just don't get access to in their home institutes, but are really important for their research and in making sure we get the data that's needed from parts of the world where we often don't have much data on biodiversity, but is actually where most of biodiversity is. The other thing is that many of the best and brightest students, the students who understand how their countries work, are based in these areas where they just don't have access to the training. So by filling that key gap, we can make a real difference. We're also exploring new ways of trying to interact and engage with them, so if they can't get to the meeting, though we do try to provide grants, they'll be able to access that material online. So we're looking into having a webinar series and looking at other ways that we can try and make sure that they can still get access to those skills, to that information, and to that confidence boosting network that's part of the ATBC. Within the Asia Pacific region, we have a slightly different remit. The Asia Pacific is actually one of the most threatened parts of the world in terms of biodiversity loss. We have the highest rates of deforestation in the tropics and very high rates of hunting, as well as a whole gamut of other threats to biodiversity. So engaging in this region is very important, but it's very challenging because it's such a heterogeneous region. Every country speaks different languages, and traditionally that's meant there's been very little interaction between neighbouring countries. So in the Asia Pacific section, we try and work across the region. We have representatives in each country, and it's their role to engage with other people from those countries to find out what their needs are, to find out what the priorities are, and to find ways of reaching people in those countries. And we try to at least facilitate funding our country representatives to come to our annual meeting in the Asia Pacific region, so we know we can keep in touch with them, and we're looking at other activities we can help them with and facilitate. We've also got more involved in other elements of capacity building in the Asia Pacific region. Both Tony and I run longer field courses. I chair one that runs for 6 weeks every year in advanced ecology and conservation. But this year we also instigated and collaborated with the university in Thailand to have a young scientist conference. We had the idea and then they made it happen, and both of us gave plenaries at that meeting, and it was a fantastic conference for young scientists which really reaffirmed their place in the region and helped build their confidence as well as their skills in key conservation areas. It's difficult to say. It feels like a long time. Probably in total only about 6 years or so, but it's been a very active 6 years. I've been living in China for 4 of those years. Before that I was in Australia, and before that I was in Thailand. So I've bounced around the Asia Pacific region. To me, it's a place where I can see the passion in so many people. The council members are there because they genuinely care about tropical biology and conservation, and the relationships you build with people who have those same drives is important. None of us, of course, get paid for doing what we do. We do it because it's something that matters to us on a personal level. We want to be able to interact. We want to inspire the next generation and see the very best of conservation science being showcased in a panel like this. And this is the place that brings biology and conservation together. So you have a unusual mix of practitioners from NGOs as well as academic institutes, and that's often where you're going to get things like innovation. So it's great to see young scientists evolving, and we see students becoming more confident and gaining their positions and growing their own research. So that's always very rewarding, and it's also wonderful to reconnect with some of your closest friends who are often other counsellors, and you don't see that many times a year because we're spread out all over the planet. So the ATBC in many ways is said to have a family, and it's the community that brings a lot of people back. And I think building on that sense of community, on that trust, because everyone is driven by the same passion, is an essential component of the ATBC. I would just encourage people to make it their ATBC. As counsellors, as committee members, we are facilitators. We're not there for ourselves. We are there to make it something for the society and for the regions that we care about. But we can't do that unless people engage with us and tell us what they want to see. What are their priorities? What are their needs? What are the gaps? Where are the areas that we're still not reaching? And how could we help build those regions? So I would encourage anyone who's watching this and anyone who doesn't think they can be on council, because the council is a load of weird people out there, to come and talk to us. We're all humans, we all care. And also get involved when you're here. Come to the lunchtime sessions. We had a phenomenal session yesterday on conservation science when we had 8 panelists, 4 men, 4 women, because I like parity, talking about incredible case studies in conservation from all over the world, showing that people can do it, showing that even as a single individual we can often make a difference, and that difference might be the only thing that is saving an area of rainforest with endemic species, or saving an individual species, or even just making the public care. And we heard those case studies yesterday. So if you're watching, get involved, interact, talk to us and take part in as much as you can. And if you want to get more involved, come and talk to us about that too, because we're all just conservation scientists and we all have new perspectives to bring.